Let's begin this yin practice tonight in a comfortable seat. And when I say find a comfortable seat, I want you to find a place where your hips can be higher than the height of the knees. So you can use a blanket, a bolster, a block to lift you up, and then let your knees drop down. So here is like our Sukhasana easy pose with our legs crossed, and then I tuck my hip that's a bit more flexible in closer right to my groin, and I bring my heel right towards the groin, and then I take my less flexible hip, which is for me the right, and I put that heel, stack that heel in front. You could take the foot up, or if you have range, you could always come to half lotus too. But let's just I kind of stack the heels in front of one another, and then let the knees drop down towards the floor. If the knees don't meet the floor, you can take a little towel or piece of clothing or something just to make you feel supported. And I want this support of the whole lower leg to the knee and support of the pelvis so that we can explore some fluid movement to begin. So as we begin, take your palms and rest them on the thighs. Just find your sit bones as they rest onto support. Feel the heaviness in the knees and the feet, leaning into the support beneath you. And then let's just begin by taking a few letting go breaths, letting go of the day. Breathing in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Do that 2 more times at your own pace. Waiting for the inhale. Even letting it sigh. And then we'll keep with that lower letting go breath, but come into a cooling breath as we come into this later part of the day. I'm going to have you curl your tongue so it makes that little O. And as you're going to breathe in the same through the nose, but then as you exhale, you're going to exhale through that curled tongue. And then you can sip in through that curled tongue. And then elongate the exhale out of that curled tongue. And don't get particular, just notice what it feels like to breathe in and out through the mouth, to breathe in and out through that curled tongue. Feel the coolness of the breath as you breathe in. Take one more round at your own pace. And then let that go. Maybe open and close the jaw. Maybe move the jaw side to side. Forward and back. And then softening the jaw downward so that the lips and the teeth stay slightly parted as we move through this practice. And then let the breath come to the nose, breathing in and out of the nose. At a normal, resting pace as we move through this yin practice. And now let's come to our pelvis, and we'll mirror motion that we did in our tongue at the pelvis. So with your hands resting gently on your thighs, start to draw a circle with the pelvis. You choose the direction, whether you want it to go clockwise or counterclockwise, but feel the weight shift from sit bone to tailbone to other towards the pubic bone, driving the motion from the pelvis, letting the spine on top of the pelvis just follow along. And then allow that circle to start to get a little bigger so that you start to move through a little cat and cow. And feel that circular movement in the rib cage and chest, like it's building. And then see what happens if you let that circular motion come all the way up to the head. Without thinking, just sensing. Let the body movement be free and authentic, fluid and gentle. Slowing the body down, find that space right in the middle. Taking a couple sensing breaths. And then changing the direction, circling back, side to the pubic bone and the other side. Making sure that you change the directions. Sometimes we stop and then we have a way that we tend to go. And then as that motion becomes fluid and smooth, start to add in the trunk, feeling a little bit more cat and cow and side to side. So there's almost this lassoing motion that occurs at the torso. And then add the head as it feels right. Fluid, authentic, spontaneous movement. Doesn't need to look any particular way. Letting the spine start to feel free and fluid. And then finding stillness again. And pausing, taking a couple resting breaths. Coming down from the day. Softening into our fluid nature, our feeling nature, cooling the body, cooling the mind, and settling in to the center of ourselves. Today is a hot day here, so using this fluid motion to counter that, to cool that, whether it's heat in the body or the mind, letting that gentleness help ease ourselves into this internal work. And when you're ready, just simply unfurl the legs, allowing the legs to come out towards a V, keeping the sit bones elevated on your blanket so that you can just get a little tip down to maintain that upright posture of the spine. The V does not have to be very large for this. Keep it a gentle distance. And now let's just simply slide our arm down one side and then slide the arm down the other, like a wave. Just feel the whole spine slide down. Let the head move with you. Really emphasize that side bending of the head so that the head follows the wave of the spine. And notice if it's hard or not to let the head fall to the side. Notice if you're clenching at the jaw. And then when you feel ready, as you go to the side, let the top arm flow up and over. And then let that arm pull you up and then come over to the other side, making that wave crest now. So the arm becomes the driver instead of the trunk. So reaching out of the arm, letting the arm pull you over, feeling how different parts of the body can drive the motion. So using this fluid movement to help us move into stillness. So yin is the process of moving into stillness using the non-contractile tissues and lengthening them and leaning into them. So the next time you come over to the left, pause into stillness on the left. If you'd like some support, the block can come and prop up the elbow. It could even prop the head, especially if you have two blocks, if the head needs a little bit more support, so that you can let go of the thinking mind. Or the hands, if you have the single block, the hands can bend and you can let the head just be cradled. And now as you fall into the stillness of this posture, letting time and gravity begin to soften, open, and allow the body to move into new range. See if you can stay with that soft, fluid nature here. So we use the water to balance any heat. So that heat could be heat in the mind as well, a drive or determination or an efforting. So see if you could stay with the fluid movement of the breath and with the softness of mind. Notice if this top hand wants to change position. It could cradle the head from above. It may even want to reach back behind you, getting the length in the top side of the neck even more. I would suggest if you want to do that, let the arm reach back in the opposite direction. Turn the palm, the thumb down so the palm turns up, and then reach back and down. And it's just going to pull, giving a little bit more opening in the head, and then rotate the head just a little bit. Find that sort of fluid shaking no, that gentle nod. And then send the breath to the space between the ear and the shoulder. Let all of your breath swell there. And notice if there's any efforting or clenching in the jaw. See if you can soften the eyes, letting the eyes be soft inside the sockets. If you notice your eyes gazing or tight, what happens if you draw a couple circles in the eyes? How can you lean in and soften in for about 5 more breaths, feeling the breath caress still the entire body in that side to side way. Breath lengthening the side body for 3 more rounds. And then take your left hand or your bottom hand to the left side of the head. Reach with the right hand up towards the right side and use the left hand to pull you back up to center so the head does not have to do any effort. And then just pause again. Feeling the effect of the practice, noticing any asymmetries that you're feeling. Welcoming any sensations, being curious about what that brought up. Letting the body return to balance, like a wave stilling, those ripples dispersing, and then that clear reflection remaining. Begin again, starting by sliding down, sliding the other. Taking a few rounds, leading with the torso. And then when you're ready, you can begin leading with the arms. So letting the top arm reach up and over. Then it pulls you up over to the other side. Up and over. Maybe one more time to each side, getting lost in that fluid movement of the body and breath. Letting the breath lead that fluid motion through the arms and the body, and then ultimately pausing to the right this time. Letting the right arm first come up and over. Letting the side waist on the left elongate and breathe into that left side of the rib cage. That top arm may bend and cradle the head, or you could use the bottom arm. First, feeling that side waist length from the hip to the shoulder. Letting gravity and time cascade you down closer to the right leg. Resting in the feels of the posture, observing what arises in sensation more than the look. Using the posture as a means of internal self-exploration to notice the feelings, sensations, emotions, and thoughts that arise. And then when you're ready, that top arm may reach up and back. Turn the thumb down, and then keep turning the thumb down to the palm turns up towards the sky and pulls the shoulder away from the ear. Now bringing that emphasis in this sideways opening to the point between the shoulder and the ear. So we started with that line from hip to shoulder. Now we're looking at that upper line from shoulder to ear. And then let the head become soft and fluid. Letting go of the head, go of the thinking mind, coming into the sensing mind. Nod the head yes. Shake the head no. And then settle into your edge. Use this gentle fluid movement to explore your edges. Feeling fluid, flexible edges. A soft, playful nature that allows us to be curious rather than feel stuck. And now, even as we arrive into the stillness, stay with that flow of the breath. Feeling the breath give you freedom, constant change, changing that edge with every movement of breath, allowing you to sink into stillness, explore new territory. To sense fully. Make this posture sustainable for the next 5 breaths. Staying in the fluid nature of the breath. Feeling a gentleness, a coolness as the breath washes over you. Take 1 or 2 more breaths until you feel a sense of completeness. And then take your bottom hand, your right hand, reach actively out of the left arm to pull you back up. Pausing in the center. Welcoming the sensation. There may be a intense or even sharp sensation or a deep sensation on that side that was just stretched. Unlike the delayed muscle soreness that we get with working active tissues, there's sometimes that acute muscle soreness right away on coming out with the yin practice. So ride the wave of that sensation, welcome it, integrate it, allow the body to integrate that new movement and sensation in that end range, staying with it until it subsides. And then beginning again, we'll come into an asymmetrical posture now in the legs. So let's take the left leg first, and I'm gonna just bend both knees for a second, using my hands to get there since they've been open for a while. And then I'm gonna take my left leg behind me. I think that I'm gonna come off of my blankets, but if you can't get the sit bones quite down, having again a little corner of the blanket, a little piece might be nice. And we're gonna come into this hero type posture. I'm gonna bend my knee behind me if that's accessible. If it's not, just take the foot into the inner thigh. This is perfect too, but this other variation right now is gonna prepare us for where we're going next. I want you to scoot forward because we're gonna go from one direction to the other so we go through the full range, and let me show you. It's gonna look like this. We're gonna bend that that left leg. We're gonna rotate right and first come into a forward fold. Then we're gonna start to go back And those legs will start to come together as we move in towards the saddle. So find your seat. Press the left sit bone down, and again, choose the right leg position for you. If there's any knee discomfort, the flexing of the foot is really useful to stabilize. Activating the foot is useful to stabilize. So just play with that foot position to see what's right for you. And then now rotate the torso over the right leg. And then now, without efforting, without striving, just allow gravity to cascade you forward. Head, chest, mid-back, low back. Feeling that first resistance to motion, and then maybe actually even rolling back up. Let's try that a few times so that you can feel one vertebrae cascade off the next, using gravity rather than muscular effort, letting the head fall down, letting the shoulders round, letting the space between the shoulder blades round, bra strap region, low back region, coming down. And then now rolling up, stacking. That's more active here. And then let's just do that one more time at your own pace, just observing the sensation in each of those segments, coming to know the quality of movement better. And maybe if you get stuck at a segment, say you get stuck right in the sternum or the chest bone, pausing and breathing in there. Welcoming the tightness, and notice if through welcoming and breathing into that sensation you feel it soften, allowing you to move forward a little bit more. Feeling that first edge of sensation. If there's any discomfort, if the neck or head feels unsupported, you can take a prop under the head. The hands can be on the floor, the forearms can be on blocks. You could even hold or reach for the foot. We just got that side body opening, so if reaching for the ankle or the foot, or even crossing the hands, reaching for opposite sides, might help bring you back into that sensation in the side waist. Listening to the feedback of your body, say what would feel just right in this moment. How can I explore an edge of sensation without pushing past it? If the sensation intensifies and becomes more uncomfortable with time, then you've gone too far. But if you find that the body drops like an exhale and then drops again, you're right at that sweet spot, that Goldilocks spot of exploring new territory, softening the muscular effort, and unwinding the myofascial structures. How can you find a sense of fluidity here, even if you're in stillness? How can you find a sense of coolness, of fluidness, a little bit of creativity here to support this posture? Take 5 more breaths, exploring those qualities. As if the entire body was floating in water. Connect with that 75, almost 80% of the body that is water. Regulating, supporting, cleansing, observing whatever qualities or thoughts come to mind as you explore your fluid nature here. And then exhaling fully. On the next inhale, let the hands walk you back up. Gently shifting from a contraction or a closing, a moving inward towards a moving outward. I'm going to scissor my legs together just a little bit so that I can start to move back towards a half saddle, moving really slowly here. There's no need to rush to the end. So pause at that first point of sensation. Observe where you feel the sensation. If you can describe the sensation. Notice if there's any initial tightening or reaction, what's happening in the head and the face and the gaze. Can you let the eyes fall back in the movement direction? Letting the eyes fall back. As the eyes fall back, notice how the chin falls back. As the chin falls back, notice how the head falls back a little bit more. And then notice if then there's a little bit more access to movement in the spine. Maybe you come down towards a blanket or a block or the floor itself. Without pushing into your edge, let gravity and time pull you into the next expression so that you're easing into these non-contractile tissues, allowing them to better glide and slide and become lubricated upon one another to improve our mobility and our ease. And now as you arrive into your position of stillness, your edge, explore the sensation of breath in this location by feeling the breath move along the whole front of the body, flowing across you like a wave, as if a wave is washing over the whole front side of the body. Feeling yourself sink and allow yourself to be supported by that breath. Feeling the buoyancy of the breath hold you up. Staying in the breath. As if you were laying at the edge of the water in the sand, feeling the waves gently lap up against you. Can you sink into the surface beneath you like you're sinking into the sand? And feel the breath like a gentle wave flow up and flow down. And with that exhale, feeling that breath pull away any tension, pull away any heat. Feeling anything you're holding on to recede with the letting go wave of the exhale. And in this posture, I want to come back to the eyes a bit. We use the eyes to help come into the posture. And now that we've softened into this quite intense edge of the posture, it often can feel a little static, or there can be the sense of feeling a little stuck. So let's say I find some movement in the eyes, letting the eyes open. I would like you to circle the eyes one way, moving the eyes in as large a peripheral circle as possible. Redirecting your sensation from maybe the thigh or some other area to the eyes. Feeling how the ability to be mobile here makes the rest of the posture feel a bit more sustainable. And then go ahead, rotate the eyes the other direction, finding the edges of our peripheral vision. Our peripheral vision is more associated with restoration, relaxation. Shifting from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system. Take one more circle. And then allow the eyes to soften, just dropping back down into the head. And then now, as you're ready, using the eyes to guide you, look down towards the navel. As the eyes come down, feel the chin come down, feel the head start to rise. Press through the arms to pull you back up gently. As you arrive back up, take your right knee in and then bring your hands behind you, finding a wave through the entire body, now coming into a gentle rock. Coming towards a deer type posture on one side and then a deer type posture on the other. Feeling a bit of rotation in the hips, rotation in the spine. You can even let that rotation move up towards the chin, looking back over your shoulder and even into your eyes, gazing behind you. So knees, hips, spine, chin, eyes, feeling that ripple. And then as you're ready, pausing back in center, letting the left leg come straight. The right leg can either come behind you. If that's not accessible, it could also come in front. Finding that knee flexion and a little bit of quadricep and front hip opening. And then rotate your body over the left leg now. And with your own intuition, your own guidance, exploring the cascading of the spine forward and then just rolling upward, taking a few rounds of spinal movement, diving in over the left leg, letting your forehead come towards your knee. And then when you've explored that a few times, that cascading over the leg with gravity, allow yourself to settle into stillness. Asking yourself, how can I allow myself to ride the waves of sensation, emotions, thoughts? Can I stay in my fluid body, connecting to the movement of breath like a wave? And connecting to that fluid nature of yourself, that intuitive nature of your internal teacher, your Satguru, the true teacher, listening to the internal intuition, hearing what the body has to say through its sensations. Letting go of the head, feeling that just right edge of sensation, how when you're right there, looking at the edge from a place of safety and ground and listening, you feel how that edge of mobility changes and transforms, transforming the shape just a little bit at a time, allowing for more ease with time. If the sensation begins to accumulate or ramp up or become unbearable, then you've gone too far. So back off and come in with gentleness. As you come in with gentleness, you'll be able to find a little play. A little curiosity. A sense of softness, floating on the wave of the breath. Take 3 more breaths. And when you feel complete, bringing your hands to the earth, using the hands to walk yourself back up, coming up slowly, letting the head be the last thing to rise, pausing and feeling that sensation of rebounding, of integration, letting the body integrate what's happened. Ride that wave of sensation and then start to bring your legs, let them sort of scissor towards one another as that movement of the trunk changes direction. The tide of that wave changes as you start to move backward. Letting yourself lean back, just finding that first pause. There's always more to go. But can you pause when there's any tightness, any sensation, any resistance? And then you can feel the softening occur there, finding your next pause. Noticing if there's any tension arising as you bump up against the edge. Can you soften any accessory areas of tension? Maybe the hands, the shoulders, the neck, the face. And actually allow those areas to help you. Using the eyes to direct you where you're going, look up towards the top of your eyelids. As the eyes look up, feel how that pulls the chin up. Pulls the chin up, feel how the head drops back. As the head drops back, notice how the spine cascades back into gravity without efforting. Finding the next edge, easing into stillness. And as you arrive into support, remembering you could always use your blanket behind you or even blocks behind you. Feeling the wave of breath wash over you. Noticing what comes up with each breath. And what gets carried away with each breath. Breath washing over you. Feel the fluid nature of the front body. And as if you're lying on the sand at the edge of the water, feel the back body sinking into the support behind it. Letting go of any effort. Feel yourself drop into the support around you. Externally feeling the support of the earth. Internally feeling the support of the breath. How can you listen to your internal teacher? Awakening intuition by observing the sensations of the body. Washing away some of the things that we hold on the surface. Some of the things we think define us. And then allowing ourselves to move a little bit deeper. Inquiring and diving into the depths of ourselves. Feeling how this gentle fluid moving into stillness allows us to peel back the superficial layers of doing. And move more deeply into being with ourselves. Welcoming that broader view. Come back to your eye circles, circling one way. And then circling the next. Use the eyes when you're ready to gaze downward towards the chest, feeling the gaze pull the chin down. Feel the gaze lift the head. Feel the arms prop you up to come out slowly and safely with a little abdominal activation. Using your hands to unbend the right knee. Allowing one more time the gentle rotation through the whole entire spine, feeling the gaze move back behind one way, and then feeling the gaze back the other way. Taking just one more posture here, moving into a spinal twist from this direction. So the next time the legs come over to the left, let both knees drop towards the earth. The chest is going to turn to the left, and it's going to actually turn behind you. And you may even use your blanket. And I'm going to quarter turn so you can see me a little better. As I turn to the left, I'm actually going to take my blanket perpendicular to my spine. Generally, when we do this version of the twist, we bring it along the chest, but I want to try to feel the belly, this fluid area in our body, drop into that blanket. If you need a little more support, you could even put the blanket over your block. Because I want you to feel yourself breathe into the belly here, wringing yourself out. I'm going to bring my forehead first to my hands. You may even decide to look to the left and bring your head to the left. But just arriving at your edge. Take this last posture to allow you to wring yourself out entirely. Using this twisting to pump that fluid nature like you're wringing out a towel. Let everything spiral out. Allowing yourself to just cascade to the floor. Feeling this churning facilitate changing. Allow yourself to unravel. Taking a few more breaths to find completeness here. Allow yourself to become complete. And when you're ready, we'll transition to the other side, coming into our last posture, moving slowly before we move towards our Yoga Nidra. So allowing your blanket to come into the belly, unwind towards the earth. Washing away with your breath. Anything that's become unstuck, anything that's arising. Moving into stillness as we transition from this physical practice, this asana practice, towards our internal practice of Yoga Nidra. Taking about 3 or so more breaths here. And then using as little energy as possible, finding your way onto your backs into your final resting position. As you arrive in Shavasana, make yourself as comfortable as possible so that you can completely let go. Feel supported and rest into ease. Thank you so much for your physical practice, for moving into stillness with me and awakening insight into what lies beneath. Namaste.